Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here. And today, we're talking about a subject that was brought up on last week's Friday night live stream. And that question is, what do I think about Wargaming releasing a quote-unquote broken premium ship and then removing it pretty quickly thereafter from the premium store with the intention of course, trying to sell a ship and make a quick buck at the cost of course, flooding the game with a broken premium ship that probably won't be nerfed afterwards. So, that's an interesting question because that hasn't really happened a lot in the game. But I do see where they're coming from and how we could potentially be going in that direction. So of course we're talking about broken premiums here, so quote-unquote broken premiums. Premiums that are too strong to be in the game. I can think of about 5 off my head that are famous for this. We of course have the OG Belfast, the Giulio Cesare, the Enterprise, the Kutuzov, and the Smolensk. These are 5 ships that are pretty well known for being a bit too powerful, a bit too strong. Could definitely argue that they are broken. Smolensk, not so much. Once I got my hands on it, I didn't find it was as bad as I had perceived it was, but it is still, in my opinion, a little bit too strong to be out and about. But anyway, these ships were released and then pulled thereafter for, well, in Smolensk's case, they said it was too popular, but I think most of us agree that the Smolensk was pretty strong in its heyday. It's a bit different now because of all the changes that have happened to the game, but still, anyway, so those types of ships, not just Wargaming rotating in and out premium ships. I don't think there's anything wrong with them rotating premium ships in and out of the store. I mean, most premiums are in the store for, shoot, years at least. I mean, even the Smolensk was available for I think like 9 months or something like that, so it was there for the better part of a year before it was removed. Enterprise was available for quite some time too. I don't remember Giulio Cesare or the Belfast. Those were a little bit before I started playing the game. But the most recent example of this would be the Thunderer. Of course, the Thunderer, which you should be watching right now, is an insanely powerful ship that's not available to purchase anymore. But you couldn't really purchase the Thunderer anyway. It was a coal ship. You had to earn it through coal. Unless you just went mega well and just threw your credit card at some containers, you couldn't just buy Thunderer outright. And I'm talking like, it would be pretty bad. I'm pretty sure, well, if you got screwed over by RNG and the containers that you were trying to buy, it could get into the thousands just for the Thunderer, rather than just sitting there and just earning the coal like a normal player. But anyway, now it does have the potential to be a problem because, of course, this new shiny premium gets released. It's very good, very powerful. See it everywhere, you know, on YouTube, Twitch, Reddit, wherever, and then it gets yoinked from the game. Now, of course, to incentivize people to buy it, they would, of course, announce the release of the ship. I'm sorry, the removal of the ship, like they do so often now when ships are getting ready to be removed from the store, and try to create a false sense of urgency to get this digital item as quick as you can. Now, of course, that's terrible in many, many ways. The first one is releasing just broken premium ships and trying to get people to buy them as quickly as you possibly can, and then yoinking it from the store quickly thereafter. And again, that specific scenario right there hasn't happened yet. I'm pretty sure most premiums that got removed were out for quite some time before they did get removed. And the main reason for that is that, if you guys haven't noticed, the devs very much like to wait and see the data before they make any type of decision. Look at the Commander rework. We are still like 2 weeks out from them making up their mind over Deadeye, when pretty much everyone agrees it's pretty broken. I mean, most content creators and most players have their minds made up on like day 2 of the rework that Deadeye was broken, but the devs are still mulling over that data right now and trying to make up their mind about it. I mean, again, look how long it took them to change the Richthofen. The Richthofen's, in my opinion, fairly balanced now. It's not perfectly balanced, but it's a whole lot better than it used to be when it was initially released. It takes months for them to make that decision. Most of the time, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of like 3 to 4 months before they announce any changes. And then they take their time making these changes too. And in my mind, it's a good thing and a bad thing, because it's a good thing you're waiting this long period of time to collect the data, see how it affects the game, and then making your changes rather than just having some knee-jerk reaction and making some crazy changes, which is kind of how they handled the CV rework. And again, all of us who went through that, we know how hellish that was and how bad that was and how aggravating that time period was. But on the other hand, too, if something is broken, like Deadeye, it does take them quite some time to make the appropriate changes to it. So that's why we really haven't seen this, here's a shiny new premium ship that's ungodly powerful. Whoa! It's leaving in like 2 weeks now, you better rush out and buy it. We haven't seen that yet. Now, of course, they do push when ships are being removed, because of course, I mean, Wargaming is a company, they want to make money, so they want to make sure that you know the ship is leaving, so if you want it, you go out and you buy it. Every company does that. It's not just a Wargaming thing. Any company that something's going out of stock or something that has a limited amount of stock, and they make sure you know that it does, because they want you to buy that item. This isn't like some super scummy thing that just Wargaming's doing. Again, like every company does it. You know, that's just the nature of capitalism. But if they were to do this intentionally, which I don't believe they have, it would be, of course, terrible for the game. The quickest release and then like removal of a ship that I remember of is Graf Zeppelin. It was done exactly for the opposite reasons. It actually wasn't overpowered. It's that there were some very, very major last-minute changes made to the Graf Zeppelin to where all the preview footage we had seen, all the super tester footage and the, well, not super tester footage, but the work in progress footage that we'd seen from the Graf Zeppelin, it was going to be this absolute god tier CV. And it came out, there were some last minute balancing changes, and it was the exact opposite of what had been shown. They pulled it, they issued refunds, they took her back, and they reworked her a lot, then they re-released her. And it's kind of a, I don't even think calling it a shadow of its former self is an appropriate way to describe the Graf Zeppelin that we have now versus what we got. Now, of course, when a ship does prove to be too overpowered, they're kind of in a corner, the devs are at least, because changes to premium ships aren't very popular after they're released. There's kind of this like myth that goes around that Wargaming will never nerf a premium ship once it gets released. Look, I've got a port full of premium ships that have been changed quite drastically since they've been released. Graf Zeppelin, I can't even count how many times Graf Zeppelin has been changed since it's been released. Like, seriously, like, I've covered so many videos on changes to Graf Zeppelin. I could probably make a playlist out of it and be like 15 videos on changes just to that one ship. PEF got changed with the changes. Well, all the German ships got changed. Well, the German battleships got changed when they changed the aiming reticle. It was, it's no longer the old German aiming ellipse. It's now the American ellipse. So that got changed. Julio Cesare, they tried to change that. They're going to up tier it to tier 6 because it was still too powerful, even after it had been removed. That was not popular at all. People screamed and shouted that they wanted their Julio Cesare to stay the same, and it is still the same. Hood got changed after she got released. Her fuse time changed, got a longer, slightly longer fuse time, and that's just the ones I can name off the top of my head. I'm sure if you go and like look at all the change logs, there's plenty of premium ships that they change for balance reasons after they get released. Now, they do like to change these premium ships mostly in global changes. They don't like to do individual premium ship changes. I'm not saying that's like their official position. I'm just saying from playing this game for almost 4 years now, premium ships are mostly just affected in global changes, but there are some individual cases where they do nerf a ship after it has been released, or they do buff a ship after it has been released. So it's not like they won't do it, it's just that they don't like to do it. And that would be the solution to fix this whole problem before it even becomes a problem. Instead of just yoinking premium ships because they're too popular or too powerful, we would all just have to get very cool with them, changing them, applying nerfs and buffs after they've been released. It would solve the problem, too, of a lot of older premiums being power crept if they were allowed to. Well, they can, but if we would all be okay with them adjusting those ships once they've been out for some time, like Missouri. Missouri is in sore need of a buff right now. She's stuck with the original American battleship hill, and she doesn't have the improved one that every single other American battleship got now. Like, literally, she's the only high-tier American battleship that doesn't have that improved hill. So that's kind of sad for her. And that's just one. Like, Flint's 11-kilometer main battery gun range, which they may change here pretty soon, hopefully. Some of the older premiums, too, like the Texas or AA's like a freaking pea shooter now. It's like, John's on deck with a water gun instead of a 40mm Beaufort cannon. So, and just other things like that, too. There's plenty of ships that could be buffed if we would all get very cool with them doing that. And I think most of us would, especially if we own some of these older premium ships, because it really does hurt when something you paid physical money for gets just power crept. It's pretty bad when a ship that you research gets power crept, like some of the older ships in the game. But when a ship that you spent money on, I don't like that at all. Anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think about this problem. Do you think it's going to become a problem? I mean, it's kind of happens in War Thunder a bit. Well, not just a bit, quite a lot. Just since I've gotten back into War Thunder, there's been like 2 or 3 premiums that were released, and like they were god tier at their BR, then they got slapped down to a lower BR because of that. So, yeah, so it's nothing that Wargaming's doing just yet. I mean, I could see them doing it in the future, unfortunately, but just from their track record and how they've handled premiums and for what I've seen for the most part, I don't think they'll start doing that. But if they do, of course, it would be a huge problem. Anyway, guys, just want to share my thoughts on that question that was asked on stream. I just wanted to flesh out my thoughts a little bit more. And again, tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Wednesday. And hope to catch you guys in the next one.